Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Hess, and today I wanted to go into a deeper dive of that Power Apps V2 trigger. I ended up getting a lot of questions about that, and I know some of my old videos use the old way of doing the Power Apps trigger, but I can't remake all those videos, so you need to just watch this video on the Power Apps V2 trigger, and we're going to go through all the little complexities. Let's get into it. Let's use the Power Apps V2 trigger today. All right, so I'm going to add some fields in here, a text. This will be name, text input. It goes right underneath. Maybe if we just kind of stretch everything out, put everything in the center. Let's see. Yeah, let's just put everything in the center. I'm not sure why that says equals. There we go. We have name, and I want this also centered. Name, let's put in a date. So we'll put in a new date picker. We probably want another text that says date. I can easily just move this up, right? So I can reorder, move it up so it kind of goes in there as we want. Now, I know this is not going to be your favorite UI, UX. That's not the focus today. Let's just put in a very simple form. Name, date. Let's do another text input, and this one will be cost. Cost. So then we'll move this one up. All right, so we have name, date, cost. Let's say, I think there's another one, email. Let's do text, email, insert, another text input. All right, and let's add one more, and that'll be, let's say, I don't know, job ID. And this will be we'll make this a choice field. A drop down. Now we could make it a combo box instead if we wanted to make it a combo box. You can have some items in here. So whatever you want the items to be, you connect your combo box to your data source as you see fit. But we're just going to do something manual today. So we have some fields in here, combo box 1, 2, 3, name, date, cost, email, job ID. I'm going to center this, so I'm just going to center it. And maybe we'll rename job ID to combo box ID. All right, we have a very basic form here. Now we're going to insert a button. So I'm just trying to make, a very simple form so we can focus on one thing, and that is the V2 trigger. That is the goal today, is to talk about the V2 trigger. Put a little padding in there. The width will increase the width to maybe 400. Have a big button. And this will be Power Apps V2 trigger. All right, we got a basic form. We're not connected to any data source right now. We're not using any data source. We're going to take our fields and we're going to push it to Power Automate. To do that, I'm going to come over here to the new looking icon here, and it's under the 3 dots. And I'm going to go to Power Automate. I'm going to click Create New. And I'm just showing you this way. This is not actually how I like to do it. But you can come in here, Create from Blank. Right? So we're going to create from blank, and it's going to bring you into Classic Power Automate. Honestly, I really don't like the way this is. Let's try it from the modern view. So instead of doing it this way, maybe you like the classic way, but at some point this is going to become modern. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go to Power Automate. I'm going to create a new flow. What type of flow is this? This is an instant cloud flow. And you can see here on our second option is the Power Apps calls a flow, V2. So this is the Power Apps V2 trigger. And give it a friendly name. The name of our Power App is Simple Form. We're going to click on the Power Apps V2 trigger. We're going to click Create. And if you notice up here in the top left, you can see the name of our Power Automate. And we are in the new designer. And we have our Power Apps calls a flow V2 trigger. Now in here, we have a few options. We have text, yes, no, file, email, number, date. So let's put a few of these in here. Let's do text, and this is going to be our name. And let's add another one. Let's do number, and let's add in here date, and let's add in here email, and then we need one more for the choice. So this will be our choice. This will be title. Date. So instead of trigger date, we'll say date. Cost is our number field. Cost. And we have email and combo box ID. So email and then combo box ID. We have created this. My opinion is to just go ahead, just add a compose statement. And we're going to pass in some of these fields if we want. So we can do title. Now let's do a compose statement for each one. Just for now. This is just for demonstration purposes. So I believe we have 5 compose statements. Let me just add all of them in here. All right, and let's make sure I'm zoomed out a little bit. There we go. So we can see we're calling a Power Apps v2 trigger. It's, in my opinion, it's good to rename your compose fields first. It's worse to do it later on because you may use it in your flow later on, the exact name, and it may cause you issues. So go ahead and rename each of your actions first. Email and combo box ID. So this one, this compose. Email, combo box ID. Now this is just one way to do it. All right, so in here we have title. This one will be cost. This one will be date. This one will be email. Combo box ID. What we're going to do is we're going to have a Power App calls a flow, and we're going to push our flow into here. I'm just going to hit save. And this keeps me in the modern view right now. This may change in the future. You may be able to get to the modern view easier. And now I'm going to go over to my Power App, and I'm going to add a flow. Now you can create a flow if you want instead, but I'm just going to add a flow, and we're going to search for that simple form. Now it looks like it's not showing up. And we may need to refresh. So this may be something that you run into. And I'm not going to remove this issue from my video. This may happen to you. We may need to just refresh Power Automate. Make sure to save. Make sure to save. Refresh Power Apps, actually that is. And then let's take a look again in there and see if we can see our saved flow. So it should be called simple form. So we'll let everything load up again. And let's look for simple form. There it is. So we did a little refresh and it showed up now. All right, so we've connected our Power Automate to this Power App now. And we're on the wrong screen. Let's go to my other screen. So Power Apps v2 trigger, we have our simple fields. We have our button here, Power Apps v2 trigger. Now in order to run this, what you're going to do is you're just going to type in the name of your flow. So mine was called simple form. You see simple form, then .run. Take a look at this and notice the IntelliSense, and I'll probably zoom in here. It says this is a text, but notice the name of the variable, title. So that matches our flow. So when you come in here, and we're too small now, but you can see that it is title, cost, date, email, combo box ID. These are the names of the variables that we gave it. So we have title, which is actually our text input canvas 1. Text input canvas 1 dot value. The next one, number, cost, and that's going to be down here. So I'm guessing that is text input canvas 2. And notice that you see the coloring. You know, you see the purple here. It's like a purple pink, and it matches this coloring. All right, so next it's asking for date. And this is going to be my date input. Date picker canvas1 dot selected date. Okay. Next we have email. Text input canvas 3. All right, and finally is our combo box ID. You know, it says text underscore 1 here, but don't look there. Look right here, combo box ID. That's what we gave the name in Power Automate. So you can see combo box ID. That matches the combo box canvas1 dot selected dot value. All right, so now, and look at the colors, you know, blue, blue, orange, orange. This will help you along the way. Purple, purple, turquoise, and then a green, and those match up. So now all we're going to do is write in something, select a date, put in a number. This must be a number, right? So this must be a number. If it does not match, it will break. And I believe it may break anyways. Email, let's just put in an email. This may break as it is, but we're going to try it anyways because it's expecting this to be a number. So I'm going to pass it in. And let's see if it accepts a text for a number field. So let's go back and check out our flow. It was successful. It did accept it. So compose, title, write in something. That's what we wrote. We have cost. It accepted the number. Date, it accepted the date. Email, it accepted the email format, and it accepted the combo box ID. Let's try and break it. For the cost, let's 100. Let's see what happens if we try and break it and we send in a text field. Oh, there you go. It gave me an error on the Power Apps side. That's actually wonderful. That saves me a lot of work, and my flow is not going to fail now. So it's a little bit of data validation. I actually like that. Let's say if this is an email, we'll put this back in here and let's try and send that. It did seem to work with the email field. Let's check it out. It did succeed. So with the email field, it seems that it's not doing a lot of data validation. The number field did work. The date field seems like it did work, and the combo box did work. So we can see it is working. So email is really just a text field. I'm not sure why Microsoft made an email field, unless it will have data validation in the future that could be useful. Now, what is powerful is instead of doing it this way and putting all of our fields in here, there is a limitation of 20 fields in the Power Apps V2 trigger. And I know I made a video about this last week, but I really thought we need another deep dive, another better video about this. And this time, let's do a text and let's do a JSON, or we'll call this AllFields. How about that? AllFields. It's another text input. It's AllFields. Let's save. So we give it a save. Now this is where something may happen. And this is a nice little trick of wisdom that maybe you may get stumped on. You know, if you come up here and you look and you type in a comma, it doesn't recognize there's a new field. What you need to do is come to the 3 dots, Power Automate, and then refresh your Power Automate. So once you refresh it and you tell Power Apps, hey, there was a change, then it will recognize that we're missing a field. And you can see it's looking for text_2 all fields. So I'm going to insert another button. And we'll put in a little bit of a gap, so maybe 100. Give us a little space in here, and this will be called collect. So if you've not created a collection before in Power Apps, this may be new to you. There's lots of videos about that. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a collection. We're going to clear collect, and we're going to collect a new collection. We'll call it collection all items. So you can name this whatever you want. This is your name for it. And inside all items, we're going to have some fields in here, and we'll have title is, and we can probably kind of look at this one again. Text input canvas 1, and then we'll have dot selected date. Next we have cost, and this is my text input canvas 2, I believe. Dot value, and then we'll keep on going. Now we need email, but let's give it a different name just to kind of, I want to throw everything off so we can see the differences. Let's say user email. I want people to see the differences and how all of this works together. And this is text input canvas 3 dot value. And let's see if we can open this up some. Next, we'll do combo box selection. I'm giving it a different name on purpose. And this is combo box canvas 1 dot selected dot value. All right, so we've created a collection. And if you format text, it kind of helps you visualize that. We're collecting title, date, cost, user email, and combo box selection. So for user email, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the default value to user.email. So it just kind of automatically knows my email. So that's my email for my demo tenant. If you email me there, I probably will not see it. If you want to ask me a question, use the other email. That was ahess543work@hotmail.com. A lot of people send me questions there and I try to answer them, but I'm more likely to answer your questions through a YouTube comment. So if you want to send me a comment in YouTube, I make my videos based on your comments a lot of times, and I think that's helpful. So now we have this new field and we haven't created it yet. We haven't formed our data in a way that Power Automate will really accept it yet. I'm going to create a global variable. I'm going to say set, and we'll call this variable all items. And for this variable, we're going to pass a JSON object. There's many videos out there about creating JSON objects. It becomes more and more valuable as you become deeper involved in the Power Platform. The JSON object is going to be of the collection all items. So this is our collection that we created on the other button. And let's see if I can spell it right. All items. And after this, we have some formats that maybe we want to include. And the ones that I like, and I have this documentation, the ones that I like, I really, really like indent 4, right? This improves readability. To me, I like having this so I can see the JSON and visualize it easily. There's other ones in here. Compact is by default, as possible, no added spaces or new lines. Flatten values. Flattens a PowerFX value to a JSON-friendly array instead of an array of records. So this may help you pulling out your data if you have multi-choice fields or many multi-select fields. So if you're doing multi-choice, multi-select, this may be very valuable to you. Include binary data. Now this one is about images and videos and audio clips. And if you're going to do images and video audio clips, my suggestion is to actually just use a new input type and use the file type right here and use that as one of your fields. And this is just for the Power Apps V2 trigger. You may have other reasons, but if you want to include audio, video, I would say just use a file type instead of putting it into your JSON. Let's get back to where we were. Let's see. Ignore binary data. So I think you should turn this on, ignore binary data. And I also believe you should turn on ignore unsupported types. By default, unsupported types will produce an error. So normally I just turn that on. JSON format. I really like, most important to me is indent 4. And let's see if we can just end it there. Will it let me? Oh, it does allow me to go there with the structure that we have there. But I'm also going to add in ignore binary data and JSON format, ignore unsupported types. And if you have multi-select, multi-choice fields, you may want to look into flattened value tables. So you may want to research that, kind of figure out if you want to use that or not. All right, so we've created a variable of a JSON object from our collection, from our other button here. When we collected it, and then we turn this into a JSON and makes it look all pretty. So we could actually take this right here, this variable, and we could put it on our collect button if we wanted to too, right? No problem doing that. There's no problem doing that. We just add our semicolon, and it looks like we're missing one, parentheses. There we go. Format. So we're clear collecting. Then we're setting a variable up as a JSON object based on our collection right here. So we're collecting, taking our collection, forming it into JSON. Next, what we're going to do, after we do that, we're going to pass the JSON object, which is our variable, which is var all items, into our flow. And so if you remember, and if I kind of hover over this, this is our all items field. Let's see if we can get it there. This is our all fields value in Power Automate. So we're also going to pass everything. So let's see here. We want variable all items. And now let's just run our flow. Let's test it out. Oop. There we go. Okay. Save. What we're going to do now is we're going to collect, and then we're going to trigger the Power Apps v2 trigger. It should run the flow. Let's see if we run into any errors. 7 seconds ago, it was successful. Let's take a look in here. Oh, we didn't pull out all of our fields, but we can see we have title. Let's create one more field. I want to compose all fields. Let's do a compose all fields. Click the lightning bolt. Let's see, all fields. Okay. And then I can just test again. It should just work on an automatic test. So I'll just test automatically. The one that ran 45 seconds ago. Run it again. It was successful. Let's check out compose all fields. Let's look at the raw outputs. That doesn't look good. Right here, it does look good though. You see how it kind of forms it right here? I wish we could, I like the way it looks here. All right, so we ran all of our fields. Come here and copy your outputs. Copy your outputs, and let's go back to edit. And now we're going to parse JSON. Parse JSON from what? From our all fields compose. And the schema use sample payload. I'm going to paste in what the JSON looks like. Click done. It pulls in the JSON for us. It pulls in the schema. It's beautiful. It comes as an array object. And then you can see our strings come in here. You can see cost is actually a string. Date string, title string, everything came over as a string. We could change cost into a number. You can edit this and say, okay, nothing's required. Only title is required. You may run into that issue where you've required things and someone may leave something blank and it breaks it. So you can easily come in here and change your JSON and say, only title is required. That's the only thing I really care about. Everything else isn't important to me. Maybe date is important to you. So now that we've parsed our JSON, let's take it and let's add one more compose statement. We just want to see if we can pull out one of our fields. So now from our parse JSON, you'll see that when I try and pull one out, let's say we just pull out title, it puts it in a loop. And the reason is it could be a multi-select. Power Automate makes an assumption that your JSON object could be multiple. This is valuable and annoying at the same time. It kind of depends on how you want to do it. You could actually collect. So let's watch this. Instead of clear collect, right? We're clear collecting here. Let's just collect. All right, so you can see our collection object in here. If we go to variables and we look at our collections, you can see we have one row. We have one row, and it's our data that we collected. Let's collect again. We now have 2 rows. So we now have 2 rows of data. Okay, let's make a change in here. Make a change. Let's change the date, change the cost to 50. We'll leave that in there. We'll do combo box 3, and then we'll collect again. All right, so now we've collected 3 times, and we set our variable equal to the collection. So our collection is now 3 rows of data. So you can see 2 rows are the same, and this is our new row. Now let's pass this to Power Automate. All right, so now let's go back and let's look at the new run. We can see that we did run, and let's look at our JSON object now. So now you can see we have 1, and look in between the brackets, we have 1, 2, and then finally 3, our new one. So Power Automate is going to assume that it could be a multi-choice, and that's why it puts it in that loop. And maybe that loop is valuable to you at some point. So let's say we had a SharePoint list or an Excel sheet, whatever you want, right? It could be SharePoint, Excel, and email. You could put in an HTML table. It could be Dataverse, however you want to do your next actions. I'm just going to do SharePoint because it'll be easy for me to do in the video. And I'm going to create rows. So let's see if I can find what I'm looking for. Create item, update item, get item. I want to create item. There we go. All right. And then the SharePoint list will say it's my, what did we use last week? Last week I used this flattened SharePoint list. We're going to write to our details SLT. It's going to come up with some fields that are available. And then we have title. I'm going to pass in title. Now this time we want the loop. The loop is valuable to me. Last week I showed you how to not put it in the loop. So date, we'll pass in date. Let's see, what else did we have? Did we have email? We'll just pass some things in here. We'll say favorite color is now user email. Favorite food is our combo box selection. Let's see, do we have a budget? There we go, a cost field. All right, so we have some fields in there, and now the loop is valuable to us. So now watch what happens when I test. So now I'm going to test automatically with the one we did 2 minutes ago. And we'll save again. Let's see if we can, maybe something kind of just happened there. Let's try again. It doesn't like it. Maybe it doesn't like, let's just go back, edit. This is not an important error. I've run into this before. It may just be a refresh. It may be, go to Power Apps, go to the Power Automate and give it a refresh. I'm just going to press play and I'm going to run it again. Oh, it looks like string is not valuable format against date. Oh, so I passed it as a string value. So the JSON made it a string. And what we want to do is, this is one trick that I like to do. I'm just going to throw some more ideas at you, is use the, let's see here, date time. Convert time zone. I really like to use this sometimes. And the time to convert is our date field. And our time zone that it starts out in is UTC time. And I believe that is right here. Universal at 00. Universal UTC time. And then I like to convert it to where I am, which is Eastern Standard Time. And then I just give it a short pattern. And then let's pass in the date. There's many different ways to do that. You could do an FX formula, format, date, time. Sometimes I like to use this convert time zone action. I think it's very useful. So let's give it another test again. Let's see what happens. Looks like it is spinning. Does it accept that date time? Sometimes I like to use this action, and it was successful. I really like that. And then let's check out the SharePoint list. So it's in my flatten. Oh, I spelled wrong. Flatten SharePoint list details SLT. We should have 3 new line items right here. Write something, make a change. You can see my fields came over. We're probably missing the cost, which is over here. So the loop was valuable to us this time. So let me just delete these old line items. This is what we did today. We wrote something, make a change, and we wrote these line items to SharePoint, 5 fields, through a loop, which was very valuable to us today. And we could do this in Excel. We could do this in so many different ways. And by doing a JSON object, we can then do more than 20 fields. All right, so it looks like we're over the 30-minute mark. We showed how this flow could work with the Power Apps V2 trigger. I feel like we're missing just a couple more pieces, and that's using a file through the V2 trigger. But we created a flow, we composed it, we created a JSON, we looped through a JSON, we wrote it to a data source. Next week, we're going to do a file through the Power Apps V2 trigger. Thank you all for watching. My name is Andrew Hess, and I'll see you next week.